Hey guys, it's Sandro here, and as per request, today's video is a detail going through the wash, polishing and ceramic coating stages in the great outdoors. So what we have here is a 2023 Suzuki Jimny that belongs to a family member, and the ultimate goal will be to get the car off to the best possible start by protecting the exterior paint and trims with a semi-permanent coating. Now, although this Jimny is new and presents reasonably well from a distance, you'll hopefully see that it's far from perfect, with lots of swirls, water spots, haze and even some random isolated defects. So before we can get to the protection stage, we need to give the vehicle a good strip down clean and ideally remove those existing defects to improve the finish that will also allow the ceramic coating to bond to it even better. For most of us, buying a brand new car is a big deal and a rare occasion, so we want to protect that investment. Now, although it would be nice to have the dealership deliver a near perfect vehicle and also trust them to protect the paint with a coating, in my experience that just rarely happens. So being able to undertake this work yourself at home is without a doubt a better option. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, showing that although it's certainly nicer and easier to detail vehicles indoors, especially if it's your day-to-day job, I was a mobile detailer for many years and working out in the open was pretty much the norm. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers for everyone's unique challenges and obstacles when it comes to washing, polishing and ceramic coating cars in various outdoor environments. But for the most part, if there is a will, there is a way, and I'll try and touch on some things that could be helpful in this area. Starting with the washing stage, firstly, get completely set up with everything you need the day before, laid out and ready to go, and run through the process in your mind. Secondly, check the weather. It's miserable to be detailing in the rain or on extremely hot days, so try and pick a good weekend to do it. Thirdly, start as early as possible when the sun is lower in the sky, and if available, find some areas with shade, and you can also reposition the vehicle throughout the day if possible to work to your advantage. If you happen to have access to rainwater or a deionized water system, that's certainly an advantage, and if you have a carport or even a canopy you can put up, that's another great option as long as the wind speed is low. Once again, I can't solve all your environmental situations, but planning ahead, being organized, starting early, and utilizing all available advantages will make life easier. The wheels are generally the best place to start. Being a new vehicle, they really shouldn't be too much work, but you still want to remove any mold, grime and get them ready for a coating. I use the tyre cleaner for the rubber and inner arch areas and a wheel cleaner for the metal rims. I started by doing an initial pre-chemical treatment and pressure rinse, and then reapplied the chemicals and performed a more in-depth physical clean with my wheel brushes and mitt. I also rotated the vehicle to face the shade when doing the wheels on the other side. Direct sunlight can cause chemicals to prematurely dry and stain the surface, so when possible, try and work in the shade. You can obviously remove the wheels if you wish to clean and coat them inside and out. And if you wanted to do an engine bay clean and coating, and even interior prep and coatings, I've shown that in many past videos, but in this video I'm really going to be focusing on the exterior wheels, paint, glass, trims. Next up was the exterior wash and clean. In a nutshell, the goal here is to get all the paint and trims completely clean and bare, ready for polishing, as if I don't, it will cause issues in the paint correction and paint protection stages down the track. I used an alkaline leaning decontamination car wash detergent as my snow foam, covering the entire exterior and allowing it to dwell for as long as possible, but before entirely drying on the surface. Now I was lucky that day, as a lot of clouds started appearing and overcasting the sky at that point, which is an ideal outdoor detailing environment. But if it was more sunny, I could have firstly rinsed the car to cool it down and/or reduced my dwelling time. After that, I spent a good 10 minutes going over the whole exterior with an extremely thorough pressure rinse down. Basically, I'm looking to remove as much of the looser dirt as possible in this step so that when it comes to physically cleaning the paint, I'm far less likely to create any additional washing swirls or blemishes. My next step was switching to an acid-leaning decontamination car wash detergent, and I started by once again foaming it all over the vehicle. Whereas alkaline detergents are superior at removing greasy road films, acid-leaning detergents are superior at treating water spots and mineral deposits. So the combination of using alkaline and then acid-leaning detergents, in my experience, has a great complementary cleaning benefit. While the snow foam continued to dwell, I used a small detailing brush to help lift and remove some of the light dirt in the more intricate areas that are more difficult to clean with a larger wash mitt. I I then used my microfiber wash mitt to clean all the exterior paint and trims, and I also made sure to rinse all the door jamb areas to remove any light dirt. Something else to mention here is that if in your environment the wash soap is drying up quickly, you can refoam the vehicle and even rinse the car down more frequently to adjust your method to suit that environment. It's always important to assess your progress and respond accordingly. Now in many cases, even on brand new cars, I will need to use iron and tar removers as well as clay the paint because many new cars will sit outside for many months and even up to a year prior to delivery. But after inspecting my results, I couldn't see or feel any environmental contamination or bonded particles on the exterior surface, and the water was flat and pooling, meaning there wasn't any existing waxes or sealants that needed to be further stripped. In other words, the paint was completely clean and bare after just a good intensive decontamination wash process with no need or benefit for further chemical or mechanical treatments. I guess what I can add here is that based on my prior inspection of the paint, it looks like this Jimny has been washed quite a lot prior to the customer receiving it. The good part about that is that it's prevented environmental particles from fusing to the surface, but the bad part about that is that it's produced loads of swirls and water spots due to improper or unsafe washing techniques by the manufacturer, transporter or dealership. The last step in this first washing process was using both microfiber towels and blown air to dry the vehicle. Next was giving the vehicle an IPA wipe down. What I'm doing here is trying to remove any detergent residue, any kickback water spots, streaks and dirt that's all normal after an intensive wash and blow drying process. This isopropyl alcohol mix is also great at further drying and basically getting the paint and trims ready for masking and paint correction. It's important to always measure paint prior to polishing, as it can certainly identify any potential issues. Now based on my measurements, I could tell that all the paint was original, with no repairs or resprays, which isn't always the case even with brand new cars. My average paint thickness reading was about 90 microns, which I'll be honest is less than I'd like to see on any new car, but also nothing too surprising and unfortunately becoming the standard these days. The readings I was getting in the door jambs were about 40 microns, so if I had to guess how much of the paint is clear coat, I'd say about 50 to 60 microns, which is actually pretty decent. With the paint completely clean and bare, this is the time we can truly assess its condition. Now, I'm not going to say the paint was in horrible condition, and I was actually really happy with how much of the water spots I was able to remove during the wash stage, so it did look far better. But honestly, the amount of swirls and haze in the finish is really disappointing and a little over the top for what's meant to be a brand new car. There's also some deeper isolated scratches, some paint transfer, and some stubborn adhesive residue scattered about. All in all, I'm not too worried about these defects, as I'm guessing that for the most part they should come out quite easily, and I'm also sure I'll be able to give this paint a much richer, more saturated and glossier finish once I'm done, so I'm excited to get this paint looking more like it should on a brand new vehicle. Now, one thing you would have noticed about this little Jimny is that it does have far more than usual black plastic trims. So I must say, it took a little longer and a lot more masking tape than usual to protect those trims prior to the polishing stage. Every paint, its defects, and your environment is different. So as much as I'd like to say just use this compound with this pattern technique and it'll work great, I unfortunately never know what the outcome will be until I do a test section. Now, in saying that, everything about this paint, from all the haze, swirls, water spots, as well as its sensitivity during my IPA wipe down, and the fact that it's a Japanese car, all points towards it being a soft paint. What this means is that the defects should come out far easier than if it were to be a hard paint. However, it also means it's a more difficult paint to finish with a high level of gloss and clarity. What I ended up using was a fine primer polish on a fine foam polishing pad with my dual action polisher. I used a mid to high machine speed and moderate pressure, doing about 3 to 4 passes with a moderate arm speed and working about a ½ meter square section. Hopefully you guys can see that I was not only able to remove the vast majority of the swirls, haze and water spots, but I was also able to produce a far more saturated, richer and glossier finish that really looked so much better. Although a ceramic coating can somewhat improve the look of car paint, polishing or paint correction is the only way to remove paint defects and restore true gloss, saturation and clarity. Additionally, polishing also deep cleans the surface and prepares it to allow a coating to bond to it far more effectively. Although I pulled the vehicle inside earlier just to help capture the test results better on camera, I will be doing all the polishing steps outdoors. So after doing your testing, finding a combination of polish, pad and technique that works well on your specific paint type, then it's just a matter of polishing all the paint section by section throughout the entire vehicle. So what are some tips if you can't polish undercover? Firstly, try and select a compound or polish that's more sun friendly, meaning it has an easier wipe off and won't dry or dust as much as some others. Secondly, try and work on shaded panels out of direct sunlight, and move or rotate the vehicle as needed to position your section into the shade. Thirdly, work smaller sections. If you can't polish first thing in the morning or late in the evening and you have the sun directly overhead, try working smaller sections with quicker polishing cycles that should reduce dusting and make the wipe off easier. Fourthly, the great thing about a primer polish such as the one I'm using is that it leaves an immediate slick finish on the surface that will actually harden after a few hours, meaning it's going to help prevent any wiping swirls due to reduced friction and its sacrificial layer. So even more so for outdoor polishing, a primer polish can be a great choice in that exposed environment, also taking into account that it's quite a soft and sensitive paint. Lastly, if you're unfortunate enough to get any bird poo landing or any other contamination, which has happened to me in the past, just rinse it off, dry it and keep going. There was quite a decent amount of water spots still remaining on the glass, so you'll see me polishing all the glass with the very same polishing pads to further clean off those water spots and restore gloss and clarity to the glass ready for a ceramic coating. The first area I ceramic coated were the wheels. I started by using blown air to remove any dust, and then gave them an IPA wipe down to ensure they were completely clean and bare. I then primed a foam applicator with my coating and began working it over the face of the rims, going over every section multiple times to ensure a great even application. After just a short minute or two, as the coating I'm using does tend to flash quite quickly, I then used a short pile microfiber cloth to firstly gather the majority of the excess coating, and then a second clean cloth to buff the finish streak free. After all four wheels were ceramic coated and a little more time was given to allow the coating to partially cure, I then dressed the tyres with a durable rubber sealant, working it in thoroughly for a couple of minutes and letting it sit for at least an hour before coming back and giving it a light wipe down to level out any high spots and knock a little of the gloss off to produce a more satin finish. So on to ceramic coating the paint. Now, because I used a primer polish to correct the paint, I don't need or want to do an IPA wipe down. So my only prep was again using some air to blow off most of the dust, as well as a microfiber cloth to pick up the last of it. I'll also mention again that the slickness and hardness of the primer polish makes it very safe to wipe it down without causing any swirls. That's just another great benefit of using it. But make sure you allow the primer polish to cure for at least 4 to 6 hours, or ideally overnight as I did in this case. Every ceramic coating is a little different in how fast or slow it flashes and bonds to the paint. As mentioned, the one I'm using does flash rather quick, but it was rather cool outside, which slows down that process, and then there was also a slight breeze that speeds up that process. In other words, you just have to test and evaluate the coating, adjusting to your environment. In my case, I could see the coating creating strong streaks, as well as producing just a touch of grip while wiping it down after about 3 minutes, all pointing to a great flash or wipe off time. Now, I was very fortunate with the weather being cloudy and a little overcast, which is perfect for applying a ceramic coating outdoors. Overcast light also makes it very easy to see any high spots or streaks in the coating that you may have missed, so it's just fantastic light and weather to be applying a ceramic coating outdoors. Now, just like I mentioned during polishing, if I did have strong sunny weather, I would have adjusted by working smaller sections, and I most likely would have had a quicker flash or wipe off time, perhaps even an immediate wipe on and wipe off technique. You'll also see that I used the very same coating to coat not only the wheels, but also the plastic and rubber trims and all the glass, pretty much using the entire 30ml bottle that, in my case, was the perfect amount. I've talked about this in many past videos that in some cases you may want to use more specific wheel, trim and glass coatings for those specific materials and areas. But I have used this same coating on my own cars to coat everything on the exterior, and it's worked really well for me in all those areas with great success. So that's pretty much it, guys. A start to finish outdoor detail on this Suzuki Jimny. What I can also add is that CarPro has a product called Release. That's a protective sealant you can apply over the coating a few hours later to protect the coating while it's still fully curing outdoors over the next week if you don't have a garage or any cover for the vehicle. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I won't pretend to be able to solve everyone's environmental issues and location situations when detailing outdoors. But I do hope this video was at least helpful in touching on some of those issues and demonstrating that you can 100% detail a vehicle outdoors to a high standard. I did it for many years, and if anyone tells you otherwise, just tell them they're dreaming. If you enjoyed this video and would like to say thanks and help support future content, you can do so by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ccad, in which I'll have a link to in the description box, or you can now hit the thanks button below the video, and thank you everyone for the support so far. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video helpful. Please share it with others, give it a like and comment below to show support for this content, and I'll see you guys soon.
I'll be following you for the ride. I know that these days I've been messing with you like a countless straight out makeup. And I know the right times when you're feeling surrounded, but I think you should know by now. From the golden domes of Bulgaria, I'll be cold Himalaya, I'll be following you for the ride. From the blinding lights of Chicago, through the streets of Santiago, I will always be there and by your side. 'Cause sometimes we get stubborn, we forget where we come from. We can't see much beyond our nose. And I know there'll come a time we will leave it all behind. And I sure we are getting close. the dunes of Bulgaria, up the cold Himalaya. I'll be following you for the ride, from the blinding lights of Chicago to the